Hey everyone, Papa Smithy here, General Manager of League of Legends at 100 Thieves, joined by our LCS head coach Zix. I call him Tony. Today we're here to update you on our LCS program for 2021. So let's start with the question I'm sure everyone has a burning desire to know the answer to. You look at the 2021 LCS roster, 4 members of Golden Guardians from 2020, someday coming together. Was that just one line on the off-season prep and then we rolled with it, or was there more to it than that?
It definitely looks like we made one call to Hunter at GGS and said, these are our guys, but in reality, we had a really extensive process. It was one of the most extensive I've been a part of in terms of every off-season I've been a part of. We really wanted to focus in on firepower as our main reason for who we wanted to pick up and who our core players would be.
So we throw out the term firepower as kind of like one of our 100 Thieves central things for 2021. If you had to define firepower, player with firepower, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so during the offseason, we looked at a lot of players in terms of their team fight value and pretty much how aggressive they are and how much they have an aura around them, like a gravity almost, of I'm gonna play aggressive, I'm gonna force you to do something, create a lot of pressure. And as a result of that, we kind of figured that was the thing that we wanted to focus on when looking at who was going to be our core players.
Definitely the community perception was clear. Shut down Someday, shut down 100 Thieves, and it was hard for us to challenge that with how we exited playoffs. So given that, the first order of business of the offseason was to both define the players with firepower around the globe. For example, had a chat with Someday after the season was over, introduced the firepower concept to him, he agreed. And so it was a case of, okay, Someday, smart player, knows a lot about League of Legends, veteran. Yeah. Who are those players with firepower you can see? And you know what answer he gave me, Tony?
No.
He said Faker, which wasn't actually that useful. I kind of further specified, I was like, okay, someone achievable, someone in North America ideally, someone that we're familiar with. And the first and clearest name he came out with was FBI. And this player, alongside our own internal chats, has been someone we've always valued super highly. Him becoming a North American resident also only increasing his worth. And for us, very early into the offseason, this was our laser focus, looking at a player like FBI who we know can have that gravity around the bot lane. But funnily enough, and maybe you can talk more about this, but in that focus on FBI, a second firepower option came up that's just too good to pass up.
Yeah, so initially, we definitely weren't really thinking about Closer because he wasn't really an option at the time. Mm-hmm. So when we did the deal to get FBI and we found out that he was available, it was obviously very exciting because not only were we going to now bring in one player with insane firepower, but we're also going to get another. So for us, that was a very, very obvious decision that we were going to pull the trigger on that.
So with our 3 core players, all of them aggressive, all of them full of firepower, we had to find a way to round out the roster with 2 players to balance out the aggressive tendencies, resource-hungry tendencies of those 3. So needed a support for FBI, who he was available, and fans know how much he popped off in 2020, but it wasn't just performance that makes Huhi a really important asset to our team.
There's a lot that he brings into a team environment, and he's definitely a more smart and creative guy. When it came to his his Aurelion Sol plays, level 1 roam gank, and this kind of stuff, he's definitely a bit of a mastermind. So having him along with the positive glue guy kind of things that he brings to a team was definitely something we were looking forward to.
And that left it with the mid lane position, where there was a lot of different directions we could go in, both experienced and more rookie talent. One thing I was looking for there was just conceptualizing how the team is going to play with all those resource-hungry players. This idea of a glue mid laner, someone who can sacrifice and provide resources to some of those other carries, quickly became a very attractive direction to go in. And with Damonte being available, having pre-existing synergy, it seemed like a smart way to round out the roster. But then you sit there and you're like, wait, that's a lot of Golden Guardians players. So now that you guys have had the ability to peer behind the veneer at how the roster was put together, there's one more new face to talk about. We do have a change in the coaching staff as well. So our new LCS assistant coach, EU fans will know him, the AD carry Freeze will be joining as your right-hand man.
Definitely super, super excited. Obviously, he brings a lot of experience to the table. And the whole concept of being an actual pro player in the past and having all of those experiences that all of our pro players will experience is obviously very beneficial to us, and something that helps me kind of understand what pro players are going through, having that on my staff. And I think just in general, when I talked to him a lot during the offseason, during our scouting meetings, or when I was interviewing him, he definitely did show a lot of his like positive, like really smart thinking in terms of like coaching and also his game knowledge.
It does feel like there's a bit of a changing the guard of coaching staff and more ex-pros with League Esports now 10 years old. And I spoke to a lot of different ex-pros, and Freeze, out of nowhere, really wowed me with his single-minded direction about where League of Legends coaching can move and what he could achieve despite only ever doing kind of coaching on the side as an experienced pro player before. I think you guys will love what you see, and we'll get him on the heist as soon as possible. So clearly a lot of changes on the player and staff side, but the changes don't end there. Clearly we are trying to shoot for better than our 7th place finish in 2020. And I know you and I have talked a lot about kind of like development philosophies that we really should target changing for 2021.
So for program changes, when we were reflecting back on our 2020 season, we definitely wanted to look at the time period where we specifically changed our LCS team and added into academy players. At the time, we're only kind of operating as 2 separate teams, LCS and academy. But now, you know, improvements have been made. We're LCS, academy, and next. So for the future, it's going to be really important for us to kind of bridge the gap and create more internal competition across the board and be able to integrate everybody accordingly.
And definitely it's a well-established trope to talk about internal competition, but building out what that looks like and how it can be healthy is something we spent a lot of time thinking about. It's not just daily scrim sets against Academy, it's other things like bringing players together for meals. You know, we have the LCS and Academy team all here in the Cash App compound, so it makes sense to start unifying those times, activities together, but even drilling down to something like learning together, because I think this year it definitely was LCS and Academy shall not meet till a roster change is being talked about. Yeah. If the players are 2 top laners, for example, who are training together, who are learning the game together, understand the meta together, then it's a lot more of a mutual move forward rather than mutual destruction, which I think sometimes these internal situations can get to. So definitely around the Rift, it can be reflected in different ways. Someday in Tenacity, different stages of their career, but still a lot to learn between the two. And I imagine a pretty intense battle in the mid lane between Damonte and Ryoma for that LCS starting spot. So we give the fans a lot of information. Roster changes, staff changes, changes in direction. But actually putting it all together, I think maybe you're the best person to do that. So for a fan at home who's sitting there wondering, what should I realistically expect for 100 Thieves League of Legends in 2021? What should they take away?
So 2021 definitely will bring an aggressive roster, for sure.
You've said that a few times before.
Well, this time for sure. I mean, we definitely have a lot of pieces with a lot of firepower and that gravity to really create as much pressure on the map as possible, and something I'm super excited about. And I think given the changes and the reflections overall that we've made, we definitely see this going in a positive direction, and we think that all of this stuff added together is going to bring us a really confident team that will play aggressive 100%. And with that, hopefully, you know, given the hard work we're going to put in, as many championships as we can bring back to 100 Thieves and the 100 Thieves community, and we'll go from there.
So for a process that began the day after we were eliminated from playoffs, I've kind of sat and watched brick by brick our entire coaching staff, our support staff, and our organization come together to right the wrongs of 2020 and to shoot for the highest levels of performance in our League of Legends team come 2021. And these are all words right now, but you and I, we've got I's to dot and T's to cross. We've got a lot of work to do still, but the proof will be in the pudding. So join us in a couple of months. 2021's not that far away, and you guys can be the judge of the new 100 Thieves League of Legends. So welcome to the 100 Guardians. Welcome to Sunday's Guardian. I should just say them all, and then I won't f it up. Golden Thieves, 100 Guardians, Sunday's Guardians. Welcome to the 100 Thieves program update.